Welcome to another episode of the Lilac City Leadership Podcast. We're super excited. We have today CEO and President of Visit Spokane, Meg Winchester, on the show with us today. Meg, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very thrilled to be here.
Awesome. We're
Glad
pumped.
to have you.
And I'm one of your hosts, James Krejci,
And I'm Doyle Wheeler,
the second host.
the other host.
All right. Double hosts. So, Meg, you've been President and CEO of Visit Spokane now for how long?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. And kind of tell us maybe, I think when I was reading through your bio, you moved to Spokane taking this role. And kind of tell us your life before Visit Spokane and before that move and kind of what led to it.
You bet. I'd be happy to. I spent most of my career in San Diego. Actually started out in the catering side of hospitality.
Oh,
so
wow.
did catering for about 13 years in different venues.
Wow.
And then was moved over to the sales side at the San Diego Convention Center. So worked on the
Nice.
citywide sales team in San Diego. So kind of learned the ins and outs on the sales side. So came up through that. Ended up being invited to go to Houston. So moved to Houston. My family was living in Texas at the time and wanted to be close to them in Galveston. Was there about 2 years, and then was invited to take the director position at the CVB in Galveston.
Wow.
And so was fortunate my family was all living there, so it was the best of both worlds. Was really able to build up that DMO. Was there 12 and a half years.
Wow.
Which was great.
Wow.
I know, long time.
And you've kind
longer-
of shaken the Texas accent too.
Never
right?
had one.
Did you never
actually.
develop it?
Kind of
Okay.
growing up in San Diego,
Yeah.
the word "y'all" will come out and those type of things just from growing up, but not too much.
Well, you did a good job shaking the San Diego
Yeah.
accent.
I know. And then was invited to interview for the position 2.5 years ago, and really had driven through Spokane. That's the only time I'd ever been here.
Yeah.
Came and immediately fell in love with the destination, and was super excited to move up here.
What kind of drew you most about the position? And I guess the area is amazing, but yeah, tell us a little more about
Area
that.
was it. Love mountains. Love the mountains. Love to hike. All of that aspect of it. You know, the minute I stepped off the plane, the people. I have said that to everyone I've talked to. The people here are 100% genuine and nice.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's amazing. You go to other destinations and people are nice, but sometimes you can tell it's not really that genuine. Gosh, people here, you just have that feel of people wanting to welcome you. And I thought, wow, that's really remarkable for a destination, especially an up-and-coming destination. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall when I came to that Spokane was really starting to move up as well. And I thought, gosh, it would be so fun to be a part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool.
What came to mind when you said you stepped off the plane, Matt, we interviewed Matt Santangelo not long ago, and he said, I want to get a setup where as soon as people come off the plane in Spokane that they're throwing a basketball, and they kind of go like, what is this? And
That
it's,
would be-
welcome to Hooptown.
That would be great. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's nice to hear we have a warm welcome even without the basketballs to folks that are coming in from outside the area.
There's nothing better than just sharing like the key locations in Spokane. Like I'll be down in Riverfront just shooting photos for myself for my own Instagram, and like you can tell when there's a tourist down there. They're
Yes.
in awe. They're like, wow, that clock tower is bigger than we thought in the photos or whatever. And you can just walk up to them, hey, so how long are you going to stay? And they'll just chime in, oh yeah, we're here for a weekend. We're visiting our daughter or
Right.
niece or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you got to go check this out. You got to go check that out. Make sure you go check this out. And then they ask questions. And it's like you could carry on this cool conversation about our city.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, and
that's not normal.
It isn't, and you know that's why we put our visitor center right in the middle of the park. So our visitor center is right in the middle of, right next to the skate ribbon, and everything is where our visitor center is, because that's the kind of the heartbeat of Spokane. I kind of look at it that way.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, people come in are so excited when they see everything that there is to offer. You know, they may just go straight into talk, but there's just so many amazing things just in our downtown core. And, you know, we represent the whole region. So once you start to even get outside that, it's just remarkable, and the variety of things. That's what I really love too.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
something for everybody?
Yeah.
And then people are able to find things that they didn't even know they liked. And
Exactly.
wow,
That's right.
how cool that is. Yeah.
accidental hobbies.
Exactly.
So tell us a little more about Visit Spokane. I think, what are the missions, the goals, services that you provide, et cetera?
You bet. It's really simple what our mission is. Our mission is to market to outside visitors to come into our destination and experience everything that we have to offer. Overnight, we always encourage everybody to stay overnight, so that they'll stay in our hotels. We've got amazing hotels. We have a little bit of everything for people. And then to go and support all of our businesses. I look at things, that's our mission. Our main core is quality of life for our residents and our businesses. And I kind of combine the two of them, because what we're doing is we are an economic driver, a big economic driver, which I think a lot of people really don't realize in our community. And I think we saw a little bit of that last year and into the first part of this year. The value of tourism and what it does bring to our destination. But, so many restaurants wouldn't stay open if we didn't bring visitors in. Some of our favorite, and we have so many amazing independently owned restaurants in this destination that don't have those big corporations, helping them. And so our job is to put people in those restaurants so they can stay. So then that in turn, our residents are able to enjoy all those great amenities.
Yeah.
Man, we're recording like not long before lunch here, and I'm already getting hungry.
It's happening.
I know.
We always say this even after lunch on this podcast. We start getting hungry.
I know.
We start getting hungry. Well, there's, the cuisine here is, I have when people come to visit, they're just like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite statement, whether it's clients we're bringing in, conventioneers, whatever, they're like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
How great this is.
So I got a burning question. So when people visit Spokane, sometimes they stay long term. And so how do you balance in your role keeping kind of the luxuries of a mid-sized city and also wanting to increase interest from outside the region?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because what happens is we say we're the front door, because everybody comes to a destination as a visitor first, whether it's to live here, whether it's to bring a business here, whether it's to attend a convention, anything, visit family and friends, all of that. And so it's really important, I think, to put the best foot forward as much as you can. So balancing that, what we do is we get, I was speaking about the visitor center earlier, is we get a lot of people that are coming in and thinking, gosh, I might want to move here, or I might want to bring my business here, and those type of things. So what we try to do is be a full service aspect. Any of the relocation packages come out of our office. They don't come out of like GSI or something. We took that over because we always want to show all the amenities that the destination has as we move forward. But there again, we have that balance too, is that, we've got to make sure as we move forward, and lots of conversations about infrastructure and things like that as people are moving here, so that there is that balance. We're still able to have that great destination for people to come to and visit and then go home, which is our main goal, is come visit, spend as much money as you can, and then go home. I mean, that's kind of the joke. It's not the joke, it's the reality if you really look at it. That is our main mission. But, you're going to get people that find a destination that they fall in love with. And so always trying to have a seat at the table to talk about those infrastructure needs and those quality of life needs as we move forward. And so really that's destination master planning. We look at things like that as we move forward too. Yeah.
That's a pretty critical point. I mean, you say you're the front door, and so I think you have a voice that's unique in saying, hey, here's who's visiting, here's who's staying, here's what we should probably make sure we put in place in order to make the city function as we kind of scale up too.
Very much so. And we've gotten very analytical. We're working with a couple companies too. I think it's very, very important that we know who's coming to visit, where they're coming to visit, how long they stay here, those type of things too. Yeah. So our chief marketing officer has done an amazing job of working with a couple of data-based companies that are able to do, drill down analytics. Scarily, I can tell you when someone has looked at one of our ads, come into the destination within 500 feet where they went and how long they stayed in destinations, all the place they went. And so that's serving. And so what we're able to do is we're able to share that information with a lot of our partners. So say we're working really closely with the park system throughout the state of Washington with some of this data, so that they can know who's going, what are the most heavily populated trails, by actual data, not by counting or forest rangers and those type of things. And
Yeah.
so they were able to get grants and look at things like that. So we're very data driven as well, as which we have to be
Yeah.
as we move forward to look at the ROI and just actually the actual traffic and everything that we're looking at. And then it helps with where we're marketing and those type of things.
Gotcha.
Spending our dollars.
And just to round this out a little bit, for anyone listening that might be creeping out a little bit about
Yeah.
the
Yes.
fact that data
thank
follows you.
We don't know who you are. Let me tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that. We don't have any information about the actual person. It's
Exactly.
it's just data. It's on your phone, just like everybody.
Yeah.
Any analytics. So we don't know anything about the actual person. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Thank you for saying that.
you're welcome. And from my world, we live and breathe on data.
Mm-hmm.
We love the fact that people are okay with us being able to see where they go and do what
Right.
they do, because it not only helps us provide better services.
Correct.
And the list goes on, but you talk about partners, that just went next level.
Yes.
And so the visitor that came in this week, and you're able to see the data of where that
Right.
particular visitor was going, and the feedback that goes to those people,
Right.
it encourages, it motivates, it helps them expand their services, it helps them
Yeah.
invite more people.
Exactly.
Then 1 year later, they bring the whole family, that experience is next level.
Yeah.
That is no
Makes
kidding.
your visit better.
This is 2021. This is good stuff.
And you
It's
said
good
it
stuff.
perfectly, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. Is we want to give as much information to our partners as we can as well, so that everybody can become better.
Yeah.
And and in those regards, so it's been really fascinating.
Yeah,
It's very
agreed.
fascinating information, and again, is the more we can help our partners throughout the community, the more the better for all of us.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, in the past, prior to data being so prevalent, it was kind of like the loudest voices were heard. And sometimes that's not a lot of times that's not the majority or
Correct.
what's actually wanted from a visitor of Spokane in
Correct.
this instance. So yeah, data is awesome.
Data is awesome.
It is awesome.
We like data. So maybe over the course of the couple years that you've been here at Visit Spokane, tell us how the organization has evolved.
You bet. Yeah, it's interesting. When I started, I think there was 32 sales, or not sales. Well, I call us all salespeople because we are all front facing with everything
Yeah.
that we're doing. We're a marketing agency for this amazing destination. And everybody was working full steam. We had 2019 was the best year that tourism had in the history of our region. And we went into 2020 just thinking we weren't light the world on fire.
Yeah.
And we were the first couple of months. We had an amazing January and February, which are usually our down months. We were able, and then of course March hit for all of us. And so it has really changed our organization. Still very hard for me to talk to. As many organizations, I did lay 19 people off in one day. Went down to an organization from 29 at that point to 10. Again, we used a lot of data. We did a lot of modeling. We did a lot of strategic planning. We didn't make the decisions quickly, but we knew we had to keep the wheels on the bus. That's
Yeah.
what I keep saying
Yeah.
as we moved forward, because everything just went flat in all
Right.
aspects. And our funding comes from hotel taxes and an assessment. That's majority of our funding.
Okay.
So we kind of went from a very robust to a very
Tight.
decimated, for
Yeah,
lack of a better
decimated.
word.
There you
that's
go.
Yeah.
That's the best word I can think of. So we did that with the hope that we could start to bring people back. It's been much longer than it's taken, but we were able to do that. We worked. What we did is, I have always believed in collaboration, and I think people tend to get in their own lanes and do things, and a lot of times we overlap and are doing the same things but not together. And so we quickly came together with the other nonprofit organizations in our community that were business centric. So GSI, Valley Chamber, West Plains Chamber, DSP, and really started to work to help lift up basically our businesses. So looked at grants and those type of things, while at the same time we really couldn't invite anybody to our destination, so we stopped most of our marketing at that point, because
Right.
just kind of everybody trying to figure everything out. At the point that we realized that we could start to invite people back, and that we had such an amazing destination for social distancing with all of our outdoor aspects. We were fortunate. The county commissioners were so gracious and so generous to give us a $2.5 million grant
Wow.
to do outbound marketing. So we created a Room to Roam campaign. I don't know
Nice.
if you've
Yeah,
seen
saw it.
it
Love
with
it.
the characters, and it's just amazing. And so, with talking about the data we talked about a little earlier, we started looking at who was coming, and we saw it was all west side because everybody was driving. It was all rubber wheeled travel at that point.
Yep.
And so we heavily marketed into the Seattle and into the Portland. And interestingly, Portland had never hit our top 10 of our
Wow.
destinations,
Nice
and
work.
they came in at 3.
Wow.
So we shifted quickly to that area, so that looking at the data, we would have never thought Portland was going to come up. And so our 3 top visitors during last year was the region of Spokane. And when we say the region, it's this whole area, Seattle, the west side, and Portland. So we did heavy marketing there. So we were really fortunate. But we also worked with the collaboration of internally, urging people, working with the restaurant associations to as quickly as possible get them open, how they could work, with the PPP and or PPE, get all those acronyms all mixed up, getting those, the gloves, the masks and everything to them so they could quickly worked with the health departments, worked with the cities, all of those different things. So it really was we still stayed as a marketing organization, but really concentrating on safety.
Yeah.
That's never going to go away now, as we all well know, and still a welcoming community, and just being the front door of what was open, what was happening in our destination. So on our website, all of our social, we were really tried to be as tied in as much as we could be of what was happening, basically day to day, as we all well know. And we were smart enough during that time to go into, I'm kind of being a little facetious, we created a whole new website too. We went from we launched a whole new website in this past February because we saw the need and knew that information was king at that point. So we have launched our website, which has been just amazing. So at this point, we're back. We've been marketing throughout. The county, once again, was amazing, gave us an additional $200,000 they had left to continue this marketing campaign, because with the state of Washington, we aren't opening in for conventions and concerts as quickly as some states. So we have that competitive aspect of it. So we're continuing that Room to Roam campaign through this year to continue and invite people. Nice. And it's actually worked well. We're at most of our hotels and our restaurants, and everybody's saying they're having a really good year. People are coming and staying. So
that's great to hear. After 2020, that is great news.
Yeah, it is great to hear. It's great to see those numbers. It's great to see people out and about, and talking to all of our partners and having them be busy again. The workforce is a little bit of a challenge for everybody as we move forward now.
It is.
So we're working on helping as much as we can with that as well.
Mm-hmm. So shifting into leadership a little bit, I'm sure 2020, for all of us that are leaders in the community, brought a lot of learning experiences. So I think, let's say future leaders who aren't leaders yet, maybe they didn't have to lead through the pandemic, maybe they haven't had to lead through recessions like 08, 09. What did you learn during 2020 that you would share with them is important for leadership?
Well, for me, with leadership, is never do it alone. Surround yourself with trusted colleagues, friends, family, those type of things. And that's really important, because you get very isolated in a leadership role, a lot of times. And so I have found that the way that I actually thrive the best, the way I'm able to make better decisions, the way I'm able to not get quite as stressed, is to be able to talk to other people. Don't make decisions in isolation. Because you're not always making the right decisions, trust me. I don't know everything, by goodness gracious, nobody does. But so what I would always do if I had to make a decision, especially some big decisions, I would always bring in somebody who was either an expert in that, or I knew had maybe even walked that road before, or trusted colleagues that I could bounce things off of and say, well, what do you think about this? And always, always, always have them feel safe to be able to say, I think that's the worst idea I've ever heard, or maybe you should shift it this way. So that has been just really, really something that I've learned, is that when people feel like they get in a leadership position and they have to know everything or make all the decisions, that is so not true. And because collaborative and other ideas and ways of looking at things, there's been times I've sat there and I'm like, goodness gracious, I never thought of that. You are spot on. Let's shift it over here. And that's just from having a conversation and listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that, a lot of times you do have to be the face of, you do have to be the, make some hard decisions, and it falls on you. But knowing that you've got that, not buy-in so much, but that collaboration, that consistency, that everybody understanding the way you're going and not just making random decisions is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just understanding that you aren't always alone.
Yeah.
I love that whole narrative. I've built my business on collaboration.
Yes.
100%.
Me
Works
too.
so good. And then when I hire someone specific, I know exactly the right person because they're going to want to collaborate. So what you said, I 100% agree. And now looking at it from the other side of that fence, every time I go and ask a question of somebody and I learn something from them, it gives them that next level of empowerment to come forward and say, hey, I got an idea. That's what I want. That is the icing on cake. It is the best, is when someone has an idea and they're willing to come and say something, even if it doesn't get accepted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because you learn, if it's like creativity inspires creativity inspires creativity.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Well, and it's funny. I'm going to tell a funny story because when I was interviewing for this job, the CMO had been there for a year, and he crashed one of my interviews because he wasn't invited to the day long, and he said, I'm going to go in. And so he came in, and he's one of the rising stars this year. And I just told the story to the gal who was writing his article. But he sat down with me, and he said, hi, I'm Jamie Rand. I'm like, hi, it's nice to meet you. And the people with me were just appalled, and I'm thinking, good for you for coming in and showing. He goes, do you micromanage? And I said, not unless I have to. He's like, good answer. And then he's like, what do you think's more important, marketing or sales? I'm like, equal. Good answer, thanks. And then he got up and walked away. And I look at that because I thought, good for him for taking that. He went home and told his wife, he goes, I may not have a job if she gets hired. But I was like, wow, I loved that initiative because he was asking me important questions to move the organization forward. And so then I talked to everyone, and I'm like, I want everybody to be empowered. You're going to make mistakes. Goodness gracious. As long as you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, or financially wrong, take those risks. We have to take risks to stand out and make a difference. We're not going to win at everything. Goodness gracious, we've made ginormous mistakes, whatever. And then we just shift.
Yep.
But I want everybody to feel like they can make those mistakes. They can come in and say, God, this didn't work. It's great. It's like, okay, what could we do better? Let's learn from it and move forward. So that's kind of how I lead with the team and everything. And boy, they've done some amazing things. Some I've sat there and given them some funny looks sometimes, like, are you sure? It's like, trust me. I'm like, okay. And then, of course, it's worked out great. So those are the ones I'm really happy with. So
confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
That's fun. And I think when you give somebody trust, I mean, the idea is theirs too.
Right.
And they own it versus like, hey, my boss told me to do something and I guess I'll kind of halfway try to make it happen. But yeah, when the person comes up with the idea and then they say, trust me, I'll make this work. I mean, how much more powerful is that?
Yeah.
So,
and especially for our
very
younger
cool.
generations, I've been doing this for a long time, and I get up every day still excited about it, and and I was a late bloomer. I was really a late bloomer and really coming into a real leadership role and everything. And I want to give the opportunity to especially some of our youngsters, as I call them. And they say that to their face, so they know it. And I love that about. But I want to give them the opportunity now to be able to own that and really get secure in that aspect of their life and grow. And I want them to stay in our industry.
And it doesn't cost you any extra.
No.
It makes their lives better.
No,
It's
and
wonderful.
it makes everything better. So
Yeah.
So I heard some kind of nuggets about your personal leadership style, but let's say you have a blank canvas and you're painting a picture of your personal leadership style. What does that picture look like?
It's I always say it's 100% an inverted V. I'm the bottom of it. My whole job is to support the team. I'm the bottom, and the funnel goes up. And so I always look at it that way. My whole job and everything that I do is to support the efforts of the team. They're doing the hard work. I mean, they are absolutely doing the day-to-day hard work of what's making the difference of everything we do. So that, again, I talk about empowerment. I want everybody to do that. I let the different leaders lead their teams and do that. But I'm always there if anybody has a question, needs to make a hard decision, needs to have a hard discussion. those type of things. And my goal now is I really want to have a seat as many tables in our community as possible, because the value of tourism is really unknown. We are our own worst
Absolutely.
enemies because we do not toot our own horns. And it's across the world in tourism, and especially in the DMO aspect. And so I really want to continue. I don't want to lose this opportunity now to show the value of our restaurants, our our hotels, our attractions, and really have people continue to understand the value, the economic value to the destination, as well as just how wonderful they are and how hard they're working.
So quick pause. You said DMO. What does that stand for?
Destination Marketing Organization.
Okay.
We've been known in the past as a Convention and Visitors Bureau, but it's evolved over the years. So most of our organizations are calling themselves Destination Marketing Organizations.
Okay.
Because that's truly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
So I'm hearing some really interesting kind of leadership style points. The inverted V, that really requires a leader to let go of a lot of things. How do people do that? Like, let's say people are, somebody that leads a company is very involved in the day-to-day. Maybe they started out as the practitioner, but it's grown to a point where now it's not scalable with that. So how does a person kind of dial back from that, do you think? I mean, there's maybe not a formula, but
no. And for me, as I came into a brand new organization, and I had done it in my other organization, and it was years, because it's basically a trust and a safety thing for me. All the way around the circle. And so I came in, and actually the 3 people that are on my leadership team right now were already at Visit Spokane. And so for me, it's just been a trust, and also being transparent. I'm very open. I mean, like, I sat down with the team the first time. I said, you can ask me anything. I said, you know what? I'm an open book. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, but I'm going to be transparent as I can be. And so what I did is especially with our leadership team, is I just sat down and I said, this needs to be our circle of trust. We need to feel safe here. We need to be able to cry. We need to be able to fuss at each other. We need to be able to do all of that. It becomes almost like a family. And I'm not asking you to become family with this, but I'm asking you, for us to be successful, is for us to have that circle of trust. We're not always going to agree with one another. And you're right, it doesn't happen overnight. And so the 2019 is where we really kind of built that circle of trust.
Nice.
Thank goodness we had that year, because when we went into 2020, we were
you needed it
together. We trusted one another. We made decisions together and looked at that. So I feel so fortunate that we had that year of growth. And it was tough. I mean, there were some tough times. There were some tough conversations and all. And other team members hadn't worked in that kind of a situation before, so it took them a little bit longer to really feel that trust or really do that. And so I've really encouraged, so it happened. We're very close friends now as well as colleagues. And then I've encouraged them with their teams. We met 3 times a week during the pandemic. We're down to weekly now, and it's still mainly Zoom. But try to be as transparent as we can. I mean, our team knows where where we stand financially, what we're going after. Anything that we can, we share all that, and the leaders on the team with their departments are doing the same thing. So hopefully, it's continuing that culture of transparency, of compassion, grace. That's been my favorite word, is everybody deserves grace through all of this. And as we move forward, and what that does, what I hope it's done, and what I've seen is that, gosh, this team has worked so hard. We understand how exhausted everybody is, but everybody's still working toward our goal.
Yeah.
That answer your question?
Oh, absolutely.
I want to ask a quick question.
Please.
So one of the things that seems to be the most intimidating in a leadership style is transparency. So how would you summarize transparency to a leader that's trying to be better, a future leader, to build that, I'm going to use air quotes, circle of trust, whatever that means to people, but the people closest to you in the business? How would you recommend in a business or a marketing situation to be transparent?
And this is my style. It may not be comfortable for everybody, but I'm pretty transparent about who I am. I mean, I'm not talking, on anything that's controversial aspect.
Understood.
That's the kind of thing.
In the business.
But in the business, people know who I am. I've had people over to my home. People know that I'm single. People know my pets. People know my family were. So I try to like enude that and have people try to do that back with me. Not to the point where it gets weird.
Yeah, understood.
You know, that's because there's that fine line.
Yeah.
Aspect, and then I encourage the others. Some of them are a lot more open than others, but I encourage that, you know, we know one another's lives outside of business, because frankly we're all working so that we can have a life with our families and our friends. And so I always look at that first. I'd love to know people's spouses, children, partners, you know, pets, you know, all of that. That's important, and that's just me personally. So I think that kind of transparency about who you are, how you look at things, what you do, that's always been a really strong one. And I do that with other people in the community too. Not everybody knows all of it, but the ones I'm close to that we collaborate with really closely. And that's worked really well. It's funny because when I interview, you know, it usually gets down. I know people, when they've been interviewed for a position and they're coming in new to the organization, my questions are about culture, who you are, how do we know when you're stressed, how do you work on a team, you know, what's your favorite thing to do? Those are the questions, because I know that they've got the skills already. I want to know who they are. I want to know that they're going to fit in with the team. I want to know that we're not going to have somebody that's kind of an outlier on this. Everybody doesn't like the same things. I don't force people to all go to a team building, you know, at one thing that they're like, I hate that. You know, that does not sound
I'm not
fun
an
to
axe
me.
thrower.
Exactly. Thank you. With alcohol. Thank you. We're not doing that, by the way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one's. But I think it sounds fun, but not. Yeah. But you know, those kind of things. So really trying to listen to all of that aspect too. But for me, that's just been, that makes you feel a little bit more bought in, that it's not just a machine moving forward, that it's more of a team, almost a family.
What a cool question. How do we know that you're stressed? Like I
know,
because
I
I
love
think
that.
I haven't really thought
that a
about
good
that
question?
before.
Yeah.
But
Isn't
there's
that a good
people that I've
question?
been around where it's like, are they okay, or
Exactly.
are they just focused? Are they stressed?
Exactly.
And if you
Especially-
knew that, I mean, you would know kind of how to handle that.
Especially in a
help.
collaborative environment.
Exactly.
Because literally, I don't care what business it is. Well, I do care. Let me rephrase that. No matter what business you're in, if you're building a collaborative environment, you're building art. You're making some sort of art, and it brings emotion. And so knowing that is such a good. I'm doing this. I'm actually going to go.
Good.
We're doing this. I'm going to find out. I've got to write it down.
Yeah, I'll send you
I
my
got you
list
covered.
of my
Don't forget.
questions. Everybody kind of sits there because I'm like, look I just want to know who you are. You know? And boy, the answers have been really interesting. And then also, what happens? What do you do when you disagree with somebody, both your supervisor and your team member? How do you handle that? And it's very interesting to see, because, you know, I want people to go directly to that person and work it out. I'm very much, my motto is low drama, no drama. You know, that we just keep
that one.
Yeah, I love that one. And I didn't make it up. I got it from somebody else, but I have used that. Because you know, if people can work it out and look at it not on a professional basis, not a personal basis. And I always say, please always, when you go into a work conversation or a work disagreement, look at it professionally. Don't look at it personally, because it really isn't when it comes down
That's
to
true.
it.
Yep.
So try to look at that. So the questions, you get some really interesting answers for those things, and it's really kind of shifted. Somebody you think's coming in great, and then you're like, you would do that? You know, you would. That's how you kind of shifts that person's.
Well, because
how they look.
everybody
Yeah.
can ask the, hey, tell us about your goals and your strengths and weaknesses. Everybody knows how to answer those, but like, if you actually find out who the person is and are they a good fit with other questions, I mean, that's really drilling in who they are. And we have a leadership book club, and we're reading Start with Why right now.
Love
and
Simon Sinek.
and I'm
love Simon
You'll be
Sinek.
on the panel.
oh yeah
Good.
yeah
Love Simon Sinek.
I'm in the chapter that's talking about hiring and finding the right fit and people that believe in the why, and like it's just brilliant. Southwest Airlines was one that did it really well, and they're able to find people through just different things that you wouldn't think of, where maybe they don't even have to interview somebody, because they know that hey, former cheerleaders make good flight attendants on our, you know, not just because of their looks, but because of just the way they are passionate about kind of being enthused. Yeah, so.
That's a great question. I've asked that a couple times too, and I had a gal that we just interviewed, and actually we're hiring her. She's just joining our team, and just great. But I said, why are you interested in, Visit Spokane? She goes, I just want to do something with a higher purpose. And I'm like, wow. For somebody young, because she's young, and I thought, oh my goodness gracious, that was her why, and I thought that just was like, wow, you get it, and I thought, cool. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
I know.
That's cool. Oh man, nuggets, dripping with nuggets. This is great.
So, rewinding a little bit, you moved to Spokane to take the Visit Spokane role as president and CEO. Talk about maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages of moving into an area, into a leadership position like this.
Probably the toughest thing is coming into an organization that somebody had been there a little over 8 years before.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. You're the new person, and trying to, always, set the tone, and fit in, number one, because you're fit. No matter if you're coming into a leader position or you're coming into, an admin position, you still are fitting in. And fitting in, and so that, and then, especially in a leadership position is coming brand new into a destination, trying to figure out who the players are and all of that is. And so what I did first thing is my assistant, I was doing meetings with everybody in the region, especially first our partners, legislators, all of that. I just had at least a half an hour to sit down and get to know them. I thought that was, and with my team, of course, too, just sit down. And so that was a challenge, because trying to figure out, everybody, it's hard because everybody had different ideas and visions and mission, everybody does that. So trying to kind of put all that together and figure out what worked best for us moving forward, and looking that. And then, of course, with a board, we were being a 501c6, I report to a board.
Right.
I have a fabulous board. I'm just going to do a shout out for my board.
Shout out to the board.
Shout out to the board.
You're doing great.
So, just putting all that together. So that was probably the toughest, is just trying to see if I fit too. If what I thought coming into this with moving forward fit, and boy, it exceeded my wildest dreams. I mean,
wow.
I've made such amazing friends here, of just in different, leadership roles. And again, is, there's some amazing women leadership in this community.
Agreed.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm just so inspired by that. I'm so inspired on a daily basis by the men are great too, don't get me wrong, but the women are just amazing in these leadership roles, and have done just remarkable things, especially in what we went through for the last year. Yeah,
and it's like that's part of Spokane too, is like the talented leaders are rising to the top, kind of regardless of, for lack of a better word, what a label would say they are, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and because of that, we're seeing a lot of women coming into leadership positions, and doing a fantastic job. I agree with you. So I've always been curious about when an organization, I guess DMO, I'm going to use the acronym.
Good. Thanks.
Has to balance between the community, its own interests, also public and private entities as well, who each have their own interests. What's kind of the, I guess, hardest part about doing that?
Probably is the way I look at it is probably the hardest thing is maybe people will come in and just be very narrow on what they want, if it's foot traffic through their door, if it's specific things. Our goal is, I kind of look at it as a 32,000 foot. We market outside. So we're anything 50 miles, and that's a generalization. Anybody, we're trying to get people to come and spend the night and do that. So we're looking at more of a global. So there's different times we may promote one area, like the holidays. There's going to be specific things that we're going to do to drive that traffic.
Right.
So the way you kind of look at it is we are putting that message out there, multiple different messages, multiple different demographics and that we're looking at. And then it's more the job of the different businesses as they come into town to invite them in. So they need to do some type of marketing, some type of foot traffic aspect of it to complement what we're doing. a lot of times we market together. So sometimes that gets to be a little hard, that people are like, what did you do for us? And it's like, okay, let's look at your analytics.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bump back to analytics, because now we can pull it right up and say, well, this many people came to your door, and we can track it back to an ad we had, in Texas, and these, this many people came up from Texas and then went in. So looking at that. So sometimes that gets tough to have that understanding. And I get it, because people they're living more in the day-to-day aspect of, what's happening today. We live in the future.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So not that we're not compassionate, and I completely understand when I have these conversations, but that's sometimes having that more global understanding gets a little tough of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Is it? Are there ways to make it fun? I guess. I mean, there's the data part of it, which I think is always fun.
Yeah,
but,
and I do too. I've become such a data geek. I can't believe myself. So it's just super fun.
I
know. I think I have the best job ever. I just, every day, there's something different going on, and travel and hospitality. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. So I feel like it's fun all the time. I mean, trust me, there's always the things that you deal with. Like I'm not a good numbers person, so I'm so glad I have a fantastic finance. Oh, she's just remarkable. So I'm so glad I have that. So, but it's just, I get so excited with what our marketing team's doing. And then we have our sales team that go out and are booking large conventions throughout the region for the convention center and for the hotels throughout, and then Center Place as well.
Yeah.
We're really starting to look and do a lot of things with Center Place out in the Valley. So excited about that and that increased partnership. So it gives us more ability to sell. So the creativity and everything, but it's so hard to get that message out every day of what our team is doing on a daily basis. It's just remarkable how they're out there talking to people, out there creating something new to get out to people to come into our destination. So it's great.
Yeah, and I guess we've all picked the right horse to be betting on too. I mean, it's not like no offense to Nebraska, but it's not like we're sitting in the middle of a cornfield saying this place is awesome.
Thank you.
And I think Nebraska is probably cool as well, but I believe
cool
that our horse is a bit better. So
well, and just our perception. I mean, like I have a tendency to be a little Pollyanna sometimes, and so through the whole pandemic, I kept trying to look at the blessings and the good things that were going on.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed when I came here is the perception, good, bad, or no perception was what I mainly was saying, because I'd say people, and they're like, "You're going where?" Yeah. And I'm like, "It's on the other side. You know where Coeur d'Alene is?" Everybody goes, "Oh yeah." So that's And so the perception value that we have now has gone up remarkably.
Agreed.
Both from our marketing aspect, the ability, thank goodness we had that, but also just the value of our destination with the outdoors and things like that. So that has been a huge blessing for us and a huge benefit, to be able to do that. So now when we say Spokane, people know actually who we are, even on the East Coast. So those type of things have been great for us to be able to
And that kind of snowballs forward. Because the more people that come, the more effort that's put into making it an even better place.
Exactly,
and,
100%.
And it just keeps going. So, exciting.
This will round out. So anyone that doesn't understand exactly what we're saying, imagine you're driving down Market Street in Spokane, and you look to your left, right above the college. There's a big billboard, and it says "Visit Montana," and it's got a sunset and mountains and a horse in it.
Yeah.
You go there, your mind goes there. Now imagine being in your car, sitting in downtown Seattle, and a bus goes by. There's a picture of downtown Spokane, and it says "Visit Spokane," and you're reminded, "Hey, that's where I'm from." It's exciting. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that's the perception.
Right.
That's from the outside looking in.
Exactly.
Love it. Love it.
One quick thing. From the leader of Visit Spokane and Travel and Tourism, what's the one thing you'd want to tell anyone, business owners, hoteliers, hospitality industry, and the traveler, about what Visit Spokane does for Spokane?
We're an economic engine. Truly are. I brought for 2019.
Perfect.
Let me just give you a couple statistics. I think that this is something that people don't really realize. I won't talk about 20 but in 19, when we had our best year, visitors spent $1.4 billion in Spokane County, which generated $2.1 billion in total business sales, including that's indirect and induced impacts
Wow.
into their city.
It's awesome.
Okay,
Incredible.
tourism sustained jobs generated $569 million, and it was up from $548 million in 2018. So we were definitely on an upward projection.
Whoa.
There were a total of a little over 18,000 jobs, and in Spokane, and it contributed in Spokane County. It generated $371 million in tax revenues, with $214 million accruing to state and local governments. But my biggest thing that I say about this when I talk about quality of life for people is for each household that saved them about $1,000 in taxes
Boom.
locally.
Hey,
So if residents don't think that there's
That's
a benefit
what people
to
like,
them, there's
yeah.
actual dollar benefits as well as just quality of life benefits that tourism brings into the county.
I would have never thought that. Thanks for sharing that. That's
aren't
really
those
cool.
amazing numbers?
And I bet that was fun to share to your awesome board. Those types
yeah,
of numbers.
it
That's
is.
exciting.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are exciting days.
really great. So
Well,
yeah,
that was
it feels
the answer
really
I was
good.
looking for. I feel like there's a misunderstanding, a huge misunderstanding about what Visit Spokane does.
Correct.
And you just nailed it on the head. I've heard that answer before, and so I was excited to ask the question because I think it debunks
That's
a lot of.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
we're getting back to those types of numbers.
We are.
I forget what 2020 was. I don't even really remember
It's
the year.
gone.
We're back on track.
We
What
are.
happened?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we don't know.
I went on sabbatical for a year.
What do they call it? Gap year?
Yeah, gap
Yeah, we
year.
took
There
a
you
gap year
go.
in life.
Right. Right.
Oh, man. Crazy.
Fun. Well, I think it's time for our 7th inning stretch,
We're doing this.
which actually I was thinking about it as I was getting ready for the show. It's actually closer to the 9th inning, but
That's
in
all right.
baseball terms,
Right.
it's 7th inning stretch, not 9th inning. So
Well, we could
we have
drag it
to
out a
stick with
little.
it.
We could go to the 9th inning.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. There's lots to talk about. We have an awesome guest.
Exactly.
We can
Thank
do
you.
this.
We will.
So the 7th inning stretch is one of my favorite parts of the podcast. We get to learn a little bit about what you like best about Spokane.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's rapid fire. You don't have to think
Got
about it. Just go for it. Favorite Spokane entertainment?
Mountains. Love to hike.
Love it.
Love
Nice.
all of them.
Awesome. Favorite Spokane neighborhood?
Gosh. I love Garland, Perry. I live in Eagle Ridge, and I actually love it up there.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Just for the difference between what I love about here is I live in like in a subdivision, but I can also walk my dog right out into
Yep.
a forest right behind my house, right
Yes.
out there.
And
So-
from Eagle
and then-
Ridge, you can get to Chaps pretty
Yep.
quickly in the morning to have
Love-
some
and-
oatmeal.
And
Yeah.
I've done that
Yeah. It's
more
amazing.
times than
Yeah.
I could tell you. Shout out to Chaps. I love that restaurant.
is another shout out.
And Leta
Yep.
Bistro down there, they do a fantastic job too. So little
Yes.
shout outs to some great partners.
Love it.
Awesome. And that brings us to the favorite Spokane coffee shop.
Yeah. That I'm gonna have to say all. I would say my favorite thing is coffee. If I'm addicted
Awesome.
to anything,
Nice.
it's coffee. And they from the drive-throughs to the sit-downs, I enjoy every single one of them.
Awesome.
So I couldn't.
We
pick
love
one.
coffee.
We love coffee
I
too.
know.
Yeah.
I do.
We actually podcasted at Roast House.
We did.
Talked to Deb
Oh,
DeBernardo.
terrific.
And we podcasted on top of, we call them garbage cans, but they were sanitary and they had lots of coffee in them. So it was cool.
Yes.
Great. That must have
Food
been
grade garbage
fun.
cans.
Yeah.
Or food grade
Fun.
storage containers.
Yeah.
But
Fun,
yeah,
fun.
we are the traveling podcast, so we could set up anywhere.
That's right. And also, I think we're going to have to now uncover all of the Spokane coffee shops and do some social media
think
around
so.
it.
I think you absolutely
Yes.
need to do
Yeah.
that.
Actually, we should go to every coffee shop and podcast
And sample
and drink coffee.
plenty of coffee
Sounds
as well.
like
yeah.
a perfect
Sounds like
hour
14th inning to me.
Yes.
Sounds perfect to me.
Okay, favorite Spokane restaurant?
Oh goodness. Again, all of them. Probably a real standout. I love Wild Sage. I love
Oh, yeah.
Wiley's.
Oh yes, Wiley's is good.
I've been to Baba recently. Lovely.
awesome.
Adam's doing a great job up there. Just Chad White's restaurants are amazing. Zona Blanca. I could eat a lobster roll every day. From the
Same.
High Tie. So just what I love so much about that is we've got so many amazing chefs in town, and so many of the independent restaurants. I mean, I could go on all day long. So There's nothing bad to eat in Spokane.
I agree.
How
with
in the
that.
world did that happen? I think
I
you had something to do with it,
know.
Doyle, with your support of the restaurants, and
Yeah.
certainly Visit Spokane too. But like, if you look 10, 15 years ago, this was not the food scene.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably even 5 years
It's
ago.
so unusual to see more independently owned restaurants than chain restaurants, especially in a downtown core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even along the freeways, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Yep. Yeah, and I think we're coming out of into a new generation of what food means
Yes,
to people.
yes.
And so, like, what I love about the food scene currently is the stories behind the dish.
Farm to table.
Farm to table.
Love all that.
The list goes on.
Exactly.
And I try and keep myself away from what the
Yep.
chef needs to tell,
Mm-hmm.
but know enough that you can make magic on the internet with it. But when you actually go to a restaurant that was inspired from a chef's experience and immerse yourself in it, it is beyond date night. It is super cool.
It's so cool.
super
Yeah,
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about Spokane?
Oh, gosh, again, a tough question. I'm
Kinda
gonna
putting you on the
I'm gonna
spot.
probably go back to no, but well, I wish I
That's
just
what we
had
try to
it.
do.
I'm kind of
Exactly.
really I'm really super excited. There's not just one answer.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, I'm gonna
Well
probably
said.
go back to the people.
Nice.
The lifestyle here is great. I love
Yeah.
the lifestyle. You know, the outdoor out lifestyle. It just fits right in with who and what I am. And but I have to say people.
Yeah, agreed.
Love it.
I've been around downtown my whole life. This is where I've been raised. I love Spokane. I visit Spokane every day, and to be downtown, taking photos of the same thing over and over again never makes me tired.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's always a different skyline, different whatever. But the people I've met downtown that are visiting for the first time, that is probably the most exciting conversation you can ever have with a human being. When you love your city, and then you're forward-facing marketing to somebody without even knowing it, just
Yes.
because you love your city.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what
And
makes
you know,
Spokane
that's
special.
kind of an unusual thing too, is that so many cities, and I've been in a few of them, is where you get in a cab and people are like, why did you come visit here?
Yeah.
And I mean, that is just, I'm going to cringe when I do that. But people don't do that here. You know, you get in a
No.
cab here and they're like, what's to do? Oh, blah, 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 blah. So there's real pride all the way down. You
Yeah.
know, yes, do we have some challenges that every big city, mid-sized city has? Do we have those challenges? Yes. Are we working toward them? Yes. That's what I love about that too. But, you know, you're not getting that. Why would you come visit? You know, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's probably the worst thing you could get, you know, from a city from a tourism standpoint. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a fairly glass is always full kind of guy, and but there's a hashtag, and I hate to bring this up, but it needs to be said. It's just the way I feel. It's the right time. There's a hashtag on Instagram that says Spokane doesn't suck. It bothers me to no end because it never did. So someone's implying that it did at one
Right.
point, now
Right.
it doesn't. Maybe
Right.
I'm overthinking
Or
it
that
a
we
little
have to
bit.
somehow say that so that we can
People believe
argue
it.
against it, or yeah.
So
that's
to all the
interesting.
people
yes.
that think Spokane doesn't suck, never did. That's my personal opinion.
We don't even have to
No.
say that
I
because
know.
it's yeah.
The best example that Mark Maron came, I think it was 2017. He came to open. I think he was opening at the Comedy House, and came in and did a 7-minute monologue on his podcast about thinking he was coming in and going to see zombies and, you know, tattered.
yeah.
Did you all ever hear that?
No.
Fantastic. And just went off about, man, this is the greatest city I've ever been to. So I recommend
That's
everybody.
awesome.
That's
We're gonna listen
exactly
to that.
for what you said, of what he said, and he went on. He just couldn't believe what an amazing destination this was, coming in with that exact thought. Okay,
Yeah.
great, I'm going to another one of those cities.
Say
and
his
then
name
was
again?
Like Mark Maron.
Mark Maron.
Right.
Okay, we got to listen to
Coming
that.
at you, bro.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll post a link to that monologue.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
no, he was. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Thanks for that.
I have a couple more questions for the 7th inning stretch. This popped to
go.
mind.
Okay.
Do you eat breakfast
I don't.
every morning? You don't? Okay. So what kind of describe, you said you like coming to work and you enjoy it every day. And so what are some of the favorite leadership routines that you have?
My thing is I try to exercise every morning.
Oh, yeah.
That's just part of who I am. I walk my dog. That's that's my
Yeah.
commitment to my dog.
What
She
type
gets
of
a
dog
walk.
do
She's
you
just
have?
a rescue, a 40-pound rescue.
Nice.
But that's my commitment to her.
Yeah.
But that's my time to get my head together too.
Yeah.
And so I put my day together at that point. I always look the night before I close everything down, I look to see what my day is, just so I'm prepared.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to wake up in the morning and go, oh my gosh,
What do I
have
going
this.
today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but then I walk my dog. It's usually 30 to 40 minutes, depending
Yeah.
on how long. And that's when I start thinking about everything. So I give myself time to get my head together, for lack of a better way, when there's
Yeah.
no distractions. Because I don't listen to music. I don't do anything. I just walk the dog.
Yeah.
And think about everything. Say hello to my neighbors and the other dogs and
Yeah.
all of it. Do that. My breakfast is coffee.
Nice.
Smart.
So
Yes.
I just never have been
Black
a big,
coffee, latte.
no,
what's the?
little bit of cream in it, and
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Nice.
And so that's what I do, and then I usually eat about midday.
Awesome.
So,
There you go.
more information than you needed. But,
No,
No,
that's okay.
this
but
is
that's
lit.
how I get it together. I just need some quiet time in the morning.
But coupling exercise with the pets, you know, Peloton, there could be an opportunity here. I think they did a great job during the pandemic.
I
and-
have had a Peloton for 5 years. That is my
have you?
go-to. Yes,
Nice.
I ride my Peloton almost
But
every
what
day.
they need
Nice.
now is an attachment behind that's
Yes.
maybe like a little dog treadmill or
Yes.
something, so that you can kind of do that
yeah, that'd
together,
be
right?
cool.
Yes,
That'd
I
be
think
cool.
it would be great. My dog is always in there with me in the room, but yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
A Peloton trailer. with
Yeah,
a treadmill in it.
I have been accused. I have been
Yeah.
accused of being a
Peloton.
proponent for Peloton because everybody I know during when everything closed down, I'm like, I'm the lucky one. I have one
Yeah.
already.
And
So
I just
yeah,
walk downstairs
Oh,
and
yeah.
there I go.
Facebook Marketplace, dime a dozen
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Everybody's
Yep.
selling them.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're offloading them now, and they're coming
Which
to
they
Spokane
shouldn't.
to visit.
It's I don't know. I think they're I love them. So
Yes.
I love it. It's been
Awesome.
it's been a stress saver for me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a shout out to the photographers in Spokane. Yeah,
Shout out to the photographers.
Yeah,
Yep.
there is never a bad place in Spokane to shoot photos, and I love seeing other people's perspective of the clock tower, the
Yes.
pavilion, how they do it, the different times of the day, whatever.
Yeah.
You are making a difference to my photographer friends. You are making a difference to everybody that wants to come to Spokane and searches the hashtag. So post your photos.
Yes.
If you're worried about someone stealing them, go figure out your Lightroom settings and make it so they can't be stolen.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Lightroom is,
That's
so
right.
we'll have to talk sometime
We
about
could
that.
do that again, but they know what I'm talking about, and we love to see your photos.
We
Yeah.
do too, and
Yeah.
I share every photo I see on, and I get friends, you know, on my Facebook and Instagram and everything like, that's so beautiful. I'm like, I get to see that every day.
Yeah.
You know, lucky me.
Exactly.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, Meg, this has been an absolute pleasure. We've had a lot of
For
fun
me
having you on
too.
the show,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
this is going to be another fantastic episode for our listeners to
Yep.
enjoy. So, thanks for your time and thanks for being on.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for doing this too. It's really important for our community and for future leaders as well. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.